So I want to give you another experience I had. My son, who is challenged with autism, leaves me, his father, to be challenged with an autistic child. Communication is always a challenge. It has always been a challenge, but I have found, if you would have heard in previous videos, various ways in which I would have discovered different techniques and different things that have eased the challenge. Now, the story that I'm going to share today was a big discovery for me. There was a time I was trying to teach my son association with words, and my son has gotten to a place where he can read sentences, but I don't believe that he gets the concept of what he's reading, the word association, the concept of what is being said. But he can read the words as he sees them. I tried an experiment one time with him where, don't ask me how, because there is a story behind it. But what I did was that I wrote a sentence backward. Now, when I say that I wrote it backward, I don't mean like I wrote the sentence with, all of the words still, all the letters still facing the same way, but it's written backwards. I mean as if it was mirrored. So all of the words, all of the sentences, all the letters, the punctuation, everything was flipped. It was mirrored. And I just wanted to see if he could read it. And he did. He read the sentence backward. It took him a while. It took him a moment. But he looked at it for a little while as if confused. This is the first time he would have seen it this way. But shortly after he looked at it, he read it. And he didn't miss a beat. So I decided to push the experiment a little further. I wrote down 4 sentences. And he read all 4 sentences without a problem. And then he looked at me kind of strange, like, "What are you doing?" And then he went along playing and that kind of thing. It made me think of people who have had challenges with dyslexia. Now, we think we understand and know what's going on with the left and the right brain completely, but even the professionals of the field will tell you that they're still discovering stuff. For the fact that they're still discovering stuff means that they don't know everything, which means that there's probably some room for some other stuff to be discovered. We do believe at this point that the right brain is more chaotic and free flow, and that the left brain is more logical, mathematic. We would associate creativity more so with the right brain, and structure with the left. The common denominator is the fact that there are 2 different brains that kind of do 2 different things. Now, let's say that that's completely true. People with dyslexia have noted that they would see some words or some letters flipped. And when we say flipped, like if it is mirrored, like if we're seeing the back of it. And what that would suggest is that there might be the 2 different brains interpreting these things, but one is having maybe a little bit more dominance momentarily with certain aspects, with certain words even. And you would notice that it's mostly when it comes to written language or reading language. People with dyslexia don't normally say that they see flipped things, like persons flipped. It tends to be stuff that is written, stuff for them to read or interpret. And if that is the case, there's a possibility where the two brains are competing, or two brains are exhibiting dominance momentarily. This is just my interpretation. I'm not an expert. I could be wrong. But if this is the case, there might be something to this thing about my son being able to read both forward and backward, and I mean like without missing a beat. I tried the experiment with a couple of other people in my family, and it was almost impossible for them to just read the sentences the other way. Almost impossible. So for them to have great difficulty with reading this thing the other way, and my son has no problem with that, it did not feel insignificant to me at all. When I did a little bit of research, I started to learn about ambidexterity. Ambidextrous people, what we've been taught, or what I guess what's mostly known, is that when you're ambidextrous, you could use your right and your left hand to maybe write or do something like that. But ambidexterity goes further than just being able to use your right and your left hand the same way to do the same skills. Each brain has certain characteristics that make it dominant in something over the other one. And the two come together to work together to ride this whole train. For my son to be able to see these two things and to be what I would have diagnosed as ambidextrous, what it means is that both brains are working simultaneously, and they're working almost at the same strength as the other, which is not common for most people. Most people have right brain dominance or left brain dominance. Most creative people, they say, are right brain dominant. I didn't find it insignificant. I just thought that there's something there about the fact that maybe both hemispheres of my son's brain might be a lot more active, maybe even active on the same level than I would have thought. And I don't know how much research or experimentation has gone into this, but it was something that I started looking into, and I found that ambidexterity and ambidextrous people, and even when you look for them online, oh my God, just look for it. You'll be amazed. So I hope that this was useful to somebody out there, a parent out there, or even a professional. I found this to be a big deal. I haven't gone down fully the rabbit hole of how far I can take this or how far this can go, but it definitely made things a lot more interesting. And I only can say what I saw as I saw it.